Well, hello everybody, and welcome to What's the Quack. I'm your host, Ducky, and you're joining me in a very special episode today because today is Father's Day. But to me, it's always been Fatherless Day, and I'm sure it is for a lot of you guys out there as well. It's a frequent ailment that happens a lot to the population, a lot of you guys out there that don't have fathers, but not to worry, I'm here to provide Sergeant Ducky Solutions Provider. So today you can call me Daddy Ducky. Yeah, that's right. I can be your daddy stand-in for today. If that's what you'd like, I can go through all the things that daddies do. I can ask you to grab me a beer out of the fridge. If you'd like, champ. You know, if you have a bit more of a dubious request, you know, if you're getting up to a bit of debauchery and you come to me asking for permission, I can say, ask your mother. And if you come to me telling me that there's a girl in your life, you're falling for a girl, I can give you the talk and give you some proper fatherly advice like, give her one for me. Oh, yes. Do you know what's one of my favourite things about these like Father's Day and Mother's Day and stuff like that? I'll give you some context. I've never known my father. It was, the long and short of it was more or less a one night stand that went wrong. And so I don't hold any ill will. He's just never been around, and that's fine. Never bothered me. You know, I'm not one of these people that go looking for closure or meet their father and all that kind of stuff. If there was ever anything I'd want off my father, it's just maybe his medical records, you know, just so I'll know what to kind of keep an eye out for in the future if there's any kind of health issues that might be of note for me. That's about all I'd want. You know, I don't really give a shit about that whole thing. So I've that. And as some of you know, my mother passed away there a few years back. So, you know, I'm parentless. But the thing is now, the missus, she's got like grandparents and, you know, a mother and stuff like that. So I use that to torment her because I have a fucking fucked up sense of humour. So when she's shopping for this kind of stuff, be it for Mother's Day or Father's Day and stuff like that, every time she does it, I'm such a bollocks. Every time she does it, when we're like standing there in like Tesco's and she's looking through all these cards and stuff like that, I'll just lean into her and I'll be like, I don't have a mammy anymore. And because she's such a fucking sweetheart, she instantly feels like a cunt for it. Oh, I'm such a bollocks. I know I'm such a bollocks, but I don't know why. I just find that hilarious. Just playing it up just to make her feel bad. Like she knows I'm joking, but it's every year. I get to do it a couple of times a year. This is great. I've never known my father. Oh God, I really am. I'm a twisted, broken little floof. I apologise for, I know I may sound high energy, but I'm trying to, I had to spur myself up before this podcast because I'm recording this quite early. I'm recording this at like lunchtime, which is, it's early for me. I'm only up like an hour or two and my fucking coffee machine's broken. So I'm drinking peasantry coffee. It's horrible stuff. The fucking instant stuff. I'm so spoiled by life. The missus got me like an espresso thing a couple of years ago for Christmas. And I've been using it religiously. It's probably the most use I've ever gotten out of a present anybody's ever gotten me. Yeah, it's broke now. I think it's just clogged with lime. I'm living in the country and all the water's fucking limey as shit and it's horrible. And I don't know what to do with it. Like, I think I'm going to have to buy a water filter or something. But yes, I'm drinking Pauper's fucking instant coffee here and it tastes like arse, but it's better than no caffeine at all. So that's how I started my day. Right, what's going on in the world? Right, there's a thing I came across the other day. There's this, I don't know what title you'd give them. Let me explain anyway, you can see what I mean. But you know one of these like girls, they do like videos and streams and stuff like that, and it's kind of primarily about how they look. They're kind of like lewd models, or to provide the good folks like myself with a bit of food for the eyes, you know, something to give a bit of nourishment to the eyes, something to look at, you know. Modelling, I suppose, would be the closest thing to it, but it's not quite that. It's like, I don't know. There's not a good name for it, but they you know, they have OnlyFans and they post lewd stuff on Instagram, all that kind of stuff, right? So this girl, and she's Amaranth, I believe is her name. I believe is her name. I know it's her name. I actually follow her on Instagram. But tasty little redhead one, like, you know, absolutely gorgeous. Recently, she's had a stalker. So fucking typical internet bullshit where some cunt from the other side of the world, Estonia I think he's from, but some cunt from the other side of the world went, well, if I show up at her door, she'll probably marry me. Fuck. I love the mental gymnastics people like this are able to pull off. It's impressive, you know. But so he travelled to the other side of the world and started stalking her and approached her house and everything. Thankfully, she had security from what I've read, and he was chased away and stuff like that. But like she warned the cops about this was happening because your man was apparently streaming this whole thing. Like, but she'd called the cops and everything like that, and you know, very little was done until the point where he actually started knocking on her fucking door. And you know, I'm not reporting on this news story. You can look it up yourself. It's the mental part of it that bothers me most. It's why like people are like myself is apprehensive about doing face reveals and, you know, giving out my location and stuff like that. It's everywhere on the internet. So I think Jacksepticeye, fellow big Irish creator there. Well, I say I'm not a fellow big, but Irish creator, very well known. He had people just show up to his fucking door. There was like, I think it was one story I had before where just randomly got a knock on his door, opened it up, and it was just this kid there and his mother. And the mother had brought the kid to Jacksepticeye's house. The mother actually thought it was okay to bring her child at his YouTuber's house unannounced. Like, that's fucking crazy. Mental. This is the last shit I want in my life. I don't want fucking... I hate it when people I know show up at my door. Much less fucking people I don't. Perfect fucking strangers. And then you never know their mental state then as well. So you're going to be immediately on the defensive. And I don't know what these people get out of it then either. Because if it was me in that situation, somebody showed up at the fucking door and they're like, oh yeah, I watch your videos on YouTube and all that. I'm immediately going to be treating them with a fucking abundance of disrespect. Because I'm like, how the fuck do you think you are showing up at my fucking door and you think this is okay? Fuck right off. You're not going to get a positive fan interaction by showing up at somebody's fucking door out of the blue. It's mental. But it's especially the women I feel bad for online, who do all this kind of lewd and OnlyFans and stuff like that. Because there is fellas out there who can't detach. You know, they get so absorbed looking at these women's photos and, you know, they start feeling like they know them and then suddenly they're in love with somebody they've never even fucking met before and I don't know if it's like a crippling loneliness or something like that, but I think one of the things about it that really bothers me is if you've had no success with women, and let's be fair, a lot of these stalkers have had very little to no success with women in their regular life. What the fuck makes you think you can go to the top of the fucking food chain for a woman? You're going to go to the hottest women on the planet and think that's going to work out. Are you out of your fucking mind? Stay in your lane, lad. You know? Jesus Christ, going straight to I love the ambition. I do love the ambition. Fucking fair play to you, lads. But Jesus Christ, you're going to go from 40, 50-year-old virgin lives to thinking you can get with somebody like Amaranth or all these other fucking unbelievably attractive women online. Are you out of your fucking minds? Oh, it's scary and hilarious. Fuck it, that could be the title of my autobiography. That's a great one. So yeah, that's something that's gotten into the news lately. That did you hear the voice break there? Did you? The early morning voice break. Excuse me. You know what's actually the worst thing about that? Men fucking up everything. Typical us men fucking up things we like. You know? That's what's happening there. Because now you're going to have this lovely Amaranth girl. She's going to have negative association with what she does because she's like, she's going to be second guessing what she does because she doesn't want it to result in another fucking stalker, you know, that kind of way, which harms her content, which means spectators of the sport like myself, you know, somebody who just likes to occasionally gawk at a good looking woman, we're losing out. We're losing out because one dopey bastard decided to fall in love with photographs. I'm going to take another swig of my coffee. I'm fading slowly already and I'm only fucking 5-10 minutes in. So my last episode of the podcast, it appears a lot of people got quite a kick out of my story of when I first got with a girl and I was first noshing on some box and how I didn't know what I was doing and I was I went in by just licking her pubic bone thinking that's how it worked. Again, this goes back to the start. I never had a father figure, although now saying that I don't know if a father figure would literally give you like a guidebook on how to tongue punch clunge. It would be kind of a bizarre interaction, but I didn't know what I was doing. I was going in clueless, making it up, figuring it out as I went along. You know, like an engineer, I'll just sit there and I was analysing it and I was like, right, poking it. What's this thing do? Oh, it's got a little hood. It's a little gangster. So having you all laughing at my expense in that was fun. But it got me thinking about something. And it was like all these things I used to worry about when I was younger man, you know, teenage man, getting me machete out and hacking through the fucking jungle that is understanding women and what they're into. But one thing that popped into my head was cock size. The length and breadth of your weapon. And there's something, as a younger man, you would be thinking a lot about. You'd always wonder if you're above average, below average, what are you? You know, that kind of way. I think like if you were straight up small, you'd kind of know it. You know, there's enough porn in the world. But then you got to look at the other side as well. If you're watching porn, you're not going to, if you're a porn producer, you're not going to hire some lad with a small cock, are you? And if you are, that's going to be niche. It's like the male equivalent to, you know, the way you'd see all these women like Amaranth and all that, and they post it on Instagram and all that, and it gives some people unrealistic expectations on how to look. I feel like that could be like that with male porn actors. Because they're always just cut fucking big glorious cock at them. And you're looking at that kind of going, wait, is that the norm? I can't compete if that's the norm. But yeah, so it made me think about cock size. And it was, you know, something I used to worry about. I'm sure a lot of fellas out there used to think about it, you know, that kind of way. This is one of them things then as well. Because it's, when you're like texting a woman, Listen to me, my old timey thing, texting a woman. Because back in my day, we used to have to use phone credit to text people, you know. So this actually, on a side note, this is something that bothers me, and I might actually write it into a video I'm working on at the moment. But you ever get nowadays when you're texting someone or messaging someone and they send you like a reply and then an extended reply, and suddenly you're looking at 5 messages coming from them just to answer your one paragraph? That's so generational. It really is, because I'm looking at that and I'm like, that's a person who hasn't had to pay for a text message. Because in my day, you had a set amount of characters and it cost you a set amount of money. It was like 12 cents or whatever per text message. So you'd fit as much characters into that. You get the most use out of it as you can, the best value for money out of per text message. You certainly wouldn't be sending yes and then hit send and then go, I'll be back tomorrow, and then hit send again. Like, you wouldn't be doing that shit. That's about €1 worth of work for something you could do for 12 cents, you know? But that's real generational right there. I'm telling you, I fucking hate people who do that though. Multiple messages. Just send me back I'm not sitting here waiting with bated breath on your I'm going about my life. Just write what you need to write and I'll get to it whenever I get to it. You don't need to fucking ping my phone 15 fucking times. It's like an alarm going off in the morning. It's like, fuck off. But anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, cock size. So yeah, cock size is something you used to wear. But the funny thing about that is when you're messaging women when you're a teenager, they don't, they're as clueless as you. So they don't know what questions to be asking you, because when you're texting them when you're a teenager and you're doing your PG filth. Oh, what color knickers are you wearing? Ooh. All this kind of shit, kind of like a pinky toe in the water. But they don't know what to reply back to. They don't know what to ask you, because they're as clueless as you are. So they'd send back how big is your cock? Doesn't fucking matter one bit. I'll tell you that, lads. In my vast sexual experience, any woman who's good in bed, will say, any woman who knows a way around a stiffy doesn't ask that question. First of all, they'd rather see it firsthand than ideally in their hand. And second of all, most women of a sexual experience know it's not the size of the boat, it's the motion in the ocean. You can be very skilled in the bedroom and be wielding an under-average penis, a below-average penis. And how I had that confirmed for me was because once I got into my 20s and I started, seeing a lot of women and stuff like that, that question was never asked by a woman. Never asked after that. That was like strictly left to the teenage part of my life. Only teenage women and young women asked that question. Never like women that are a bit older, a bit more mature and a bit more experienced. Never asked that question. As long as you're not like rocking a micro dick, they'll take it as it comes. Pardon the pun. That was a bad pun. God. Just sometimes I feel like I need to like check to see if Connie's pregnant, because I'm doing so many dad jokes now as I'm getting older. I'm just like, are you pregnant? Something's going on here. I used to make dad jokes at any time in my life, but now I'm making them all the time. So there's something going on. But another thing I wanted to get onto, who the fuck measures? I've always like when somebody asks me like how big is your dick, and people are always like, 5.5 inches, or 6 inches, 7 inches, 9 inches, all this kind of shit. I'm just like, how do you measure? Not how, but why? Like, I just find it really bizarre, the idea of just some lad with his lad laid out on the counter and an old fucking an old primary school ruler next to it there, and he's just like making measurements there and an old pen marking it off. Maybe it's like as he gets bigger every year, he marks it off. It's like one of them things you see next to a door frame. It measures how tall you are. But yeah, who the fuck measures? People used to ask me in my 20s, like, when you did occasionally have the woman that asks, say, how big's your cock? And you're like, I don't know. A mouthful? What answer do you want from that? I didn't fucking measure it. Well, you just working on a building site one day and it's like, hey, Tommy, throw me over the tape measure there, will you? Quick. It's like, who the fuck measures? I would throw that question back at women. How tight are you? I wanted it in pounds per square inch. What's your biting force? Oh my God. On that topic though, there's one thing I've never got, and I know I'll divide my audience here on this one, possibly, because it's such a sacred thing amongst men, but they don't realise just how awful they are. Dick pics. Lads, stop sending dick pics, please. Just don't. You're not doing yourself any favours. There's no such thing as an attractive dick pic. Believe me, I've been down this road before in the past. I've tried as a younger man and with different angles. I've a bit of cinematography under my belt. I've studied film and stuff. I got a fairly good grasp on what's a good composition of a shot and what's not. And I can tell you with my hand on my heart, I've never taken a flattering dick pic. It can't be done. It can't be done. Not in this, especially in this world of pornography where everything's under studio lights and airbrushed and everything else, and I'm sure they do that for dick as well. But it's not possible. Do you know what you'll do if a girl asks you for a dick pic and you send her one? All you'll accomplish is you'll frighten her. I'm telling you, every dick pic a man's ever sent a woman looks like a fucking creepypasta. It's like somebody took a screenshot out of the Blair Witch Project. It's always in low lighting because you're probably in bed and you're getting a bit randy and you're texting them or whatever else. It's always in low light and you're using the flash off the camera on your phone. And it looks like something out of an alien autopsy. You can't send that. I know, like, a dick is already not attractive. Let's be fair. Not compared to a fanny. A dick, as I think I've said it in a video before. A fanny is lovely and it's tucked and it's tidy, and especially if it's kept well as well. If there was a lot of gardening done, it's a glorious thing. It's neat. It's neat, like a tucked in duvet over a bed. It's lovely. But a fella's cock looks like something that you'd find discarded across a butcher's floor, and there's only so much you can do with that. Realistically, it sticks out, it dangles. It looks like an afterthought. To be honest, it looks like they're almost interchangeable. You could just screw it off at the end there and put on a new lens, if you will. Like it's not nice. So when you're sending pictures of that to women, you're just going to fucking frighten them, But you were. Here is a random thought that came into my head the other day as well. Came into my head the other day because I was just thinking about it out loud. Do you know what's a frightening thing to do in the relationship for the first time, as a fella, we'll say? It's to walk around naked in front of your missus while you're flaccid. Because let's be fair, most women out there have only ever seen a cock when it is raring to go. That's when most women have seen a cock, when it's at its best. But a lot of women don't understand how small a dick can become when it's not like that. And that's something, as a fella, when you get into a relationship, but the first time you're just like, you're like naked, maybe you're getting out of a shower or something like that, and you're just kind of like, right, she's fucking seen me naked loads of times, so why do I need to cover myself in a towel? But then that little voice in the back of your head kind of going, shit, she's never seen you soft. She might think it's a different man walking into the room, because you would. Because sometimes there now, I don't know if it's a particular cold shower or cold morning, I don't know what to blame it on. I find my dick frighteningly small when it's soft compared to what it's like when it's flexing, if I can use that term. And if your missus is not used to seeing that, or any girl you're with is not used to seeing that, you're in the back of your head, you'd be like, Jesus, I wonder what they're going to make of this. Do women really understand how frighteningly small this can become when it's off the clock? So that's something I used to worry about early days in the relationship. Don't give a fuck anymore now, because it's just like, no, she knows what I can do with this when it's good and ready, I have a few questions today as well for What's Your Problem segment of 3. I've kept it to 3. I don't want to go overboard, but 3 is enough. It's nice. But a couple of questions I got, I'm not going to count as What's Your Problem because I want to expand upon them a little bit myself, talking about my experience. One of them, a couple of people asked about how I mentioned I used to smoke. I used to smoke cigarettes, and I've since quit, and now I just vape, and wanted to see how I went about that, because I'm sure there's plenty of smokers out there that want to quit. Every smoker who smokes, virtually every smoker that smokes, wants to quit, and I was once one of them. I will be saying cigarette. I know a lot of Irish people listening in would be used to the slang term, both Irish and British people as well, people from the UK use for cigarettes. We call them fags, and not to be confused with the gay term, the gay insult. Not related to that at all. Maybe it was once upon a time. I don't know the history of it, but it's more casual around here. It's nothing. Asking somebody for a fag isn't asking somebody for a gay man. But I use cigarette naturally nowadays, because when I started doing YouTube, when I was talking about cigarettes and then I'd say the word fag, YouTube's bots would pick up on it and go, oh look, he said fag, he's talking about gay people, and then they demonetize the video, and it just became so much trouble that I've taught myself to say cigarette instead over that time. So don't worry, I'm not trying to Americanize myself. I was just avoiding YouTube bots, and that's just become my natural fucking word now. But quitting cigarettes. So I was smoking for a very long time, like an impressively long time. I started smoking when I was about 13, which is nuts. I'm sure a lot of people listening would think that's crazy. I was younger again. I would have been 12. I was in primary school when I started smoking. And I remember it was me and my friend John, not gay John from my videos, this is another friend John. We used to run into the ditch at break time. It was this hedge that ran along the back of the school where the yard was. We used to run in and hide in there. And I'd bring in a menthol cigarette and he'd bring in a regular cigarette, and we both robbed them from our parents, from our mother. And what we do is he'd smoke the Benson and pass, leave me arse of it, leave me half of it, and I'd smoke the rest of it, and then we'd light up the menthol and I'd smoke half of that and pass him the arse of it. And like, in our stupid children's minds, we thought that the menthol cigarette would take the smell of regular cigarettes off us. In hindsight, absolutely not. Since I haven't smoked it in years now myself, like cigarettes, I can smell cigarette smoke a mile away. Even if somebody was to smoke a menthol, I'd still easily tell that they were just after having a cigarette. But so that's what we used to do. And I started smoking when I was about 12 or so, like that. And I was smoking up until I'm off the cigarettes now, about 3 or 4 years, maybe, something like that anyway. So that's quite a long time to be smoking. That was about, 15 years, something like that, if not longer. But I remember once myself and the missus were going to a hotel for a night or two. We'd often go away for a couple of nights just to unwind and reset, and as you do. But the thing is, you can't smoke in hotels, obviously. Well, nowadays anyway, in Ireland, you can't smoke in hotels. And I was just like, oh, fuck this now, because I don't want to be going up and down from the room all night every time I want a cigarette. And, I'd want a cigarette once every hour, which is a lot of hours in an evening when you're staying in a hotel room. So what I did was, while we were there, up in Galway, I think it was, we were at the time. While I was there, we were at this mall. And we're at this mall, I came across this e-cigarette shop. And I was just walked over and I was like, here, give me out an e-cigarette. I want something that I can puff away in inside the room and not have to worry, something to scratch the itch. So I won't have to worry about being up and down looking for a cigarette all night. So I was grand. I picked up a little vape pen and some e-juice and stuff like that. Brought it to the hotel room and it did me perfectly. Every 3 or 4 hours I'd actually go down for a cigarette, just to get the want out of my system. But for the most part, it helped. It took away the itch. Again, that was only a temporary fix until we went home and then I was smoking cigarettes non-stop again. And then there was one year the missus wanted to go to Poland. She was going to Krakow and she was going on this tour of Auschwitz and stuff like that. Now, I declined to go because it sounded fucking miserable. Not like a bad holiday, but it just sounds like I'd just be fucking depressed over there for ages, because that's a fucking depressing piece of history. But she's, she loves all that kind of stuff. So she was mad to see it. So she went with a friend of hers. So she went over, she got to see Auschwitz and all that kind of stuff. But she was coming back, and she was giving me the option of picking up some duty-free cigarettes. Because fuck it, they're nice and cheap. They'll do me for a while, save me a few pound. So when she was coming back anyway, she was like, what can I get you? And I was just like, oh yeah, sure. Give her a list. It was like Benson and John Player and all this kind of shit. I was like, whatever you can find, just pick me up a couple of cartons of them and I'll give you the money for them when you get back. So she was coming back through the airport and next thing I get a phone call and they didn't have the brands I smoked at all in the duty free. They were all out of this one, that one and the other one. I can't remember exactly which ones I was asking for, but whatever. They're all out of them. And then I'd make another suggestion. And then she'd get off the phone and then bring me back. She's like, they don't have them either. And I kind of eventually got to a point where it just made me think, I was like, you know what? It's fine. Don't bother with the duty free. I'll just, get my regulars or whatever else. Don't worry about it. Because, I didn't want to be inconveniencing her either. Her standing in the fucking duty free all day when she had shit to be doing. So I was like, let it go. It's fine. Leave it. So I just grand got off the phone. And I was just sitting there because I had just run out of cigarettes or I'd only got 1 or 2 left on me at this stage. Enough there for when she comes back from the airport because she was only an hour or 2 away. But now she wasn't bringing any back and it was late at night. So if I wanted more cigarettes, I'd have to go to the 24-hour petrol station or something like that. But at that point I was just like, I'm not fucking arsed going to the petrol station and stuff like that. It's a whole lot of effort. I still have that vape pen from that time I was up in the hotel with the missus. I still have a load of e-juice left over from that. I'll just puff on that from the evening and then I'll pick up cigarettes in the morning. So I did that. I started puffing away in the e-cigarette and I noticed come the next morning that my cravings weren't strong. I wanted a cigarette, but it felt more of a habit than an actual chemical requirement because again I was still getting nicotine. I was still getting the nicotine. I was getting it off the pen. And it was in that moment I decided, you know what? I'm going to try just stick with the pen. Fuck the cigarettes. I'm going to see if I can just stick with the vape. I'm going to stick with that and see how long I can go and try it out. Because again, as a smoker, I always wanted to quit because it was it's bad for your health. But at the time, more importantly, smoking cigarettes is fucking expensive. And it is now. It's 15 quid for a 20 box over here. It's crazy fucking amount. So I stuck with the pen. And you know what? I haven't gone back to cigarettes since. It scratched the perfect itch. And there was one thing that really cemented it for me. That really kind of drove me to stay off the cigarettes. And it was this documentary I seen online. And it was where they were given kind of old fogies who were addicted to cigarettes. They were giving them vape pens. And here, have a vape pen instead of a cigarette. See how you get on with it. And there was this guy who was smoking for about 40 years, something like that. Older chap, maybe 50s or 60s. He's been smoking cigarettes for years and years and years and years. And they gave him this vape pen and, see how he got on with it and stuff like that. And then they checked back with him in 6 months' time. And they came back to him and they were asking him, how are you getting on with the vape pen? And he said, the cigarette I smoked before I walked into that vape shop with you guys was the last cigarette I've ever smoked or will. He's like, this thing is fucking amazing. I get my nicotine. It's not nearly as bad for me as cigarettes themselves. It's fucking amazing. And when I seen that, I was like, if this fucking stuck in his ways old fogey can do it, I can fucking do it. And he was smoking twice as long as me. And he's just like, yeah, no fucking bother at all, lads. I'll quit. That's a fucking brilliant mentality to have. So if he can fucking do it, I can do it as well. So that really drove me. And what really cemented it then at the end of it was my mother had passed away and I never had a cigarette on the day of her funeral. And I was like, look, if I'm not going to have a fucking cigarette now, I'm never going to again. That's what drove me to quit. Now, granted, I know there's downsides to the vape as well. It's like, you know, some people will say it's safe, it's perfectly safe, it's fine, it's been checked and all that. And other people will say, it's bad for you, it's full of chemicals that'll give you the popcorn lung and all that. Honestly, I think it's somewhere in the middle. I think it's better than smoking cigarettes. That's more or less been proven, because like cigarettes, when you're smoking a cigarette, you're inhaling about, I think it was like 9,000 different types of chemicals, because it's combustion, it's smoke, you're actually igniting something. Whereas the vape, you're not bringing stuff to ignition. It's not necessarily combusting, it's vaporizing, so you're not releasing nearly as many chemicals into your lungs. But to say that's better than you from not smoking, absolutely not. No, you're better off just being a non-smoker, full stop, realistically. But, you know, for somebody who used to smoke like me, it's ideal. And I think eventually I'll quit the vape as well. But, because over the years I've been working down I started off vaping like an 18 milligram nicotine. And I found that unbelievably harsh on the throat. It was giving me a weird cough. And I think that's where a lot of people fall down when they try quit smoking and go into vaping, is they go too high with the nicotine. Because that's when you get the kind of unpleasant chemically bitiness at the back of the throat. I don't know what you'd call it, but it's not pleasant. So what I did was I moved down to a 12 milligram. And that was perfect. I started vaping on the 12 and I was like, oh geez, that's actually grand. That's ideal. And the best thing about a vape, when somebody's smoking a vape and they're like, not really getting enough nicotine off it. A vape is not like a cigarette. It's not like the vape is going to run out after a couple of minutes. You can vape it indefinitely. You don't have to worry about that. The only difference is freebase nicotine, which is the type of nicotine you find in most vapes. You can buy over the counter and stuff like that. It takes a little bit longer to absorb into your bloodstream. The nicotine does. It takes a bit longer to absorb into your bloodstream than nicotine you would have a cigarette. That's why a cigarette will give you the nicotine buzz, you know, when you've gone a very long time without a cigarette, and then you smoke when you get a bit lightheaded and you get that thing called nicotine buzz. You don't necessarily get that off vapes. It takes about 10 minutes realistically before your cravings start to settle down. Beyond that, you know, it's ideal. I think you can get these things called nicotine salts as well, which apparently act like a cigarette's nicotine does, where it absorbs quicker. But I tried nicotine salt for a while and it actually started giving me really scratchy throat, so I don't know if I was like allergic to something in it or not. But I just switched back to regular. But the thing is about smokers nowadays, and if you're a smoker now, listen in. My grandmother smoked like a chimney. According to my mother, she used to tell me stories about my grandmother smoking like a chimney. She used to smoke 20 or 40 a day. Ridiculous amount. And at one stage, she had to quit. She had health issues. I'm not sure. Something got to do with her lungs or something like that, where she had to quit. And she just went cold turkey and quit him outright, full stop. And that's a very difficult thing to do. I tried that when I was smoking, tried quick cold turkey. I made it no more than about 10 hours, I think, and I was just fucking biting my nails. It was tough. So the fact that we'd be able to go cold turkey like that, Jesus fucking power to you, but it's very, very difficult. But if somebody of that generation can do that, there's no reason for anybody nowadays not to be able to quit when you've got nicotine gums, patches, vapes, inhalers. There's so much stuff nowadays to help you quit smoking. Honestly, to be honest, the vape doesn't even feel like I'm quitting smoking. It was so easy. It felt like a cheat. So, you know, that kind of feels like a bit of a cheat code to get off the cigarettes. But it works. It made the transition so much easier. If you're looking to switch to a vape as well, another bit of advice I give is don't buy like shitty kind of like pound shop e-juices, because when I first bought my vape, the one I got in the shopping centre when I was up in Galway, your man gave me like a name brand e-juice. There was like a legit vape shop I bought this in, and he gave me a legit one. And I remember once that ran out, I went into like a pound shop and I picked up just some like regular menthol, cost €1.50 or something like that, and I put that into it and it tasted horrible. So you really so the quality of what you're vaping matters as well for whether or not you're sticking to it. You know, you want to be a decent quality vape pen itself, you know, something around I'd say 20 to 50 quid range is more than enough for what most people would use it for. And a good quality e-juice, you know, from a proper vape shop. You're going to be starting on the right foot there. But yeah, if you ever want to quit, by all means, try the vape. I highly recommend it. And most people don't mind a vape, you know. My missus, well, for one, when I quit smoking and I started vaping, one thing she had a big relief was the house didn't smell like cigarettes all the time. And like there was no smoke absorbing into her clothes and the wardrobe and stuff like that. It was great. I didn't smell like cigarettes. You know, you naturally smell better. My skin is like less greasy and shit. Like all this. Sorry now, I'm sure I'm boring a lot of you guys out there who don't smoke or anything and don't want to be hearing it. But you know, it's a hard step to make. And if you've been smoking for a long time, like if for nothing else, lads, the financial benefits to switching to vaping is great. Because first of all, cigarettes are expensive, especially in the first world where they're taxed out the arsehole in every fucking country that can do. So like when you switch to vape, you'll notice immediately you're spending way less money on your nicotine addiction. And you got the health. I noticed by breathing, not that it was ever bad. I never really found it bad, but I found catching my breath a lot easier within 6 months of quitting smoking. I found like when I was running on treadmills and stuff like that, I'd recover a lot quicker. That could be anecdotal. I don't know if there's actually evidence behind that, but I felt better afterwards. So yeah, there's an insight to how I quit smoking and what I'd recommend about it. So now we're going to head on over to what's your problem. Again, I don't have a jingle. It's such an afterthought. So people don't realize these podcasts are a side gig for me, something I do in my downtime. It's not something I'm actually trying to make a go of. I just like talking shite. It's like therapy, lads. It's like therapy, only for I don't have to do any homework or, you know, listen to listen to some advice that I don't want to hear. I'm just talking into the abyss. It's great. But we're going to head on over to what's your problem. And I started what's your problem. I said I had two things I want to talk about before what's your problem. The other one was just a little one. When I do my little announcements about the what's your problem segment and people, you know, write in their questions, so many teenagers ask me any advice about their exams. They're doing their GCSEs or their Leaving Cert or whatever else they're doing, and they want my advice. I don't know if they've just forgotten the fact I'm out of school. I'm out of school near 15 years, lads. No, it is 15. Yeah, I left school when I was 17. I'm out of school 15 years. No advice I could give you would be anyway applicable to school now. I'm the old furniture like that. I wouldn't translate. Another thing is, I never cared about schoolwork. So you're writing in, you're asking me, it's like, oh, help me do better on my exams. I didn't even care about my exams when I was taking them. I'll be absolutely no help to you, lads. Bar a few classes when I was in school, like, and a select few, I was so disinterested in school. I couldn't knuckle down. Like, my grades were like, in a class I liked, my grades were actually pretty high, but they were few and far between. It was like metalwork or art or something like that. My marks were high, but in classes I didn't like Irish, maths, English, all this kind of shit, I suffered. I was really bad in school. But I didn't care, because when I was in school, I was like, fuck that. I'm just going into the workforce. I'm sick of fucking schoolwork. This is bullshit. Like, I felt like it was killing my soul. So I didn't give a fuck. So I did really bad in school. I did just enough to get by. D's, mostly D's in classes I struggled with. I think I only ever studied, realistically, I think I've only ever studied once, and it was because it was my mocks on my junior cert, mock exams. They're like, you know, leading up to it to kind of give you an idea of how well you're going to do. And I failed maths. It was the only class I failed. So I studied a little bit for that, because I knew I was kind of like, okay, I'm going to need at least a passing grade and everything. And it was the only thing I studied for. And by studied, I maybe studied like 3 or 4 hours of an evening. But, you know, I was never good with keeping up with homework or doing any of that kind of shit. And when I did my junior cert proper, I just about scraped by. To be honest, lads, and then I don't want to discourage anybody from studying. Like, if you want to go on and do college at any stage in your life, knuckle down, do the work, get your points. But if you're like me at the time, I had no intention of going to college. I know I eventually did, but I had no intention at the time to go to college. So I just barely scraped by with everything. And I did what most people don't realise you can do when it comes to join the workforce. I lied about my Leaving Cert results. You know why? Because no fucking manager of any business is going to call up your school to find out if your grades are the actual grades you say they are. Nobody in the workforce gives a shit about what grades you got in school. As long as you claim that you've got a Leaving Cert, that's good enough for them. They don't give a fuck beyond that. If you're going looking for a job at McDonald's or fucking Starbucks or a shop or anything like that, they're not going to cooperate that. Just make them believable when you're writing them down if you are doing the grades. This is something you do when you don't have work experience. You actually just write out your results of each class you got in your Leaving Cert or whatever. But just make them somewhat believable, you know. But beyond that, you can lie out your arse. They're not going to check that. So it's pointless asking me about schoolwork, lads. I was terrible. Ask somebody smarter. Anyway, over to what's your problem. I'm going to do away with actually saying people's names full stop on this segment, because a lot of people request their name not to be in there, and then some people don't say anything at all, and I'm not sure what to do with that. So I think it'd be better to just leave everyone anonymous, so I don't have to make up names or anything else like that. And, you know, it just makes life simpler. So you'll know your question if it's read. So this first one goes, hello Ducky, first of all, thank you for all your videos. They've made me chuckle in some dark times. Oh, well, you're very welcome, lad. I need some love advice. Well, I am the kingpin of love, as we all know. I've been in a relationship with a girl for 2 solid years, and one day she simply blocked my number and my profile on every social media over a picture I took with my friend on Instagram. I bet it was a female friend. I guarantee it's a female friend. It's been almost a year now, and we started talking again. She says she still has strong feelings for me, in brackets, her words, and I would like to say the same for her. My family also said that I was all in all a happier person when I was with her. Should I give it another shot, or should I just leave it alone, no matter how hard it is? Lad, I'm not gonna lie, sounds like a mental bitch, and I wouldn't go fucking near her after that. No. Like, assuming that's the whole picture you're after giving me, because you haven't stated what you were doing in this picture. Like, my experience with women and kind of mental bitches would suggest that it was just a picture of you with an attractive female friend and she got paranoid and it caused an argument and left and whatever else. That'd be my instinct, because that's kind of that's the behaviour I'm used to seeing when it comes to a lot of women. Not all, before anybody thinks I'm being a misogynistic fucker, but to deny the existence of mental bitches is a fool's game. So saying that, if that's all that's happening in that, if you just had a picture of an attractive, or if you just have a picture with a friend that, you know, that the girl you were dating finds a threat, and that was enough for her, then yeah, I'd fucking leave that bitch where she lies. Fuck that. Nobody wants that level of stress. Like, if that's what she breaks up with you over, then how pleasurable is that relationship going to be going forward? And like, it's only been, what you say, a year? A year is not enough time for people to change. Now, I'm on board with the idea that people can change, and all the cynical people in the world say, some people, you know, most people don't change. I'm a bit more optimistic in that. People do change, just because I know who I was 10 years ago and 20 years ago and stuff. I know the person I was, and that person feels like a stranger to who I am now. People can change. People can become better people and more mature. In some cases, they become worse. But they can change. But that doesn't happen that quickly in a year. If you get back together with her, she's going to make your life fucking miserable if this is the kind of petty shit she breaks up with you over. So what I'd say is find somebody else to have strong feelings for and pursue them. I know you say you were an all-around happier, your family said that you were an all-around happier person, but what does your family know? You know how things felt at the time, and it's very easy to forget the downsides with somebody, especially if you have any kind of feelings towards them. It's easy to forget how low those lows were. So as an outsider looking in, get shot of her. She's just going to come back and find something else to bitch or moan about and kick up about and all that. Nobody needs that stress in a fucking relationship. Find somebody else that'll actually, you know, sit down and have a mature conversation with you when shit like this comes up. And, you know, because there's a lot to be said for somebody, like, if you're a person, you're a little bit paranoid. You know, if you have a little bit of trust issues or whatnot, that's fine. Look, everybody's different. Everybody has these things. But if you have the maturity to kind of like approach your missus or your fella or whatever the case and say, look, you know, I'm a little bit paranoid or I'm a little bit worried about you and this person. Can you put my mind at ease? You know, that's a lot to be respected if you can come forward and say, look, I have a little bit of a flaw. Can you just make me feel better about this because, you know, I'm working on it, that kind of thing. But if they're just going to not even talk to you about it and then just fuck you to the side, essentially, blocked your number, your profile and everything, and that's where it ended. If she's going to be that casual and blasé about the relationship, no, you don't want that. You want somebody who'll actually take you fucking serious as a person and not just fucking create a soap opera drama over every small fucking bit of bullshit that floats by. No, get shot of her. That's my advice. Next one we got says, hi Ducky, I'm currently having a big problem at the moment. I've recently been diagnosed with pancreatitis, and with the constant bloat I feel like my girlfriend isn't going to be as into me and that I'm not enough for her. I don't want to be, but I feel like letting her go so she can find somebody better. What should I do? Big fan. I love this channel, by the way. So this is from a fella, and I will say, no, don't let her go. Here's the thing about women, like, because a lot of fellas don't understand this. Women are different creatures to men. Some of their traits are brilliant. As much as I love the bang on women, they've got some fantastic traits. And one of their traits is women are not nearly as bothered about appearance as fellas are. You know, women can see past that a hell of a lot easier than us. To be quite honest, women, a lot of the time, women are not even looking for a good looking bloke. They want somebody that can make them laugh and they feel comfortable around, and somebody who makes them feel attractive. You know, a very ugly man could very easily get a very pretty woman. You know, that's not all it boils down to for women. They look for a lot more in a fella. So if you're feeling self-conscious over your appearance, don't. Because you couldn't be with the better sex for the job, you know? Because they're not going to be as hung up about that. That's something you'd expect from fellas, because we're hung up about that. We like an attractive woman. And we don't like it when women let themselves go, or, you know, we're very visual creatures. Women are not like that at all. They're emotional creatures. They want to connect on an emotional level. And that's way more important to them than anything else. Just like how fellas prioritize looks, women prioritize about how they feel around a fella. There was a great bit of advice I got when I was learning the tricks of the trade with chatting up women. And as one of the boys told me, he's like, when you're chatting up a woman, don't tell her she's attractive. Make her feel attractive. And that's a very important distinction, because that's the key what women like. Because a lot of women like to feel gorgeous. They like to feel beautiful. So if you can make them feel beautiful, then that's 90% of the work right there, regardless of what you look like. If you can make them feel pretty and make them laugh, that's all you need to bring to the table, realistically, as a fella. So I wouldn't worry about being bloated or feeling ugly or anything like that. Not at all. Not a bit, no. So I hope that helps with your conundrum. And the third and final one. This girl I liked me, and we got together, but we ended up breaking up. A couple of months later, she messaged me wanting to get back with me, so we did. I had my suspicions she was cheating on me, boy, and her mate later told me she was, and we broke up again. Now another one of our mutual friends says she still likes me, so should I get back with her? I do like her, and all these times she's been the one breaking up with me. Do I ignore it? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me 3 times, shame on me type of thing. Love the podcast. Anyway, Ducky. Right, so long and short of it, you keep getting with this girl, she keeps breaking up with you. You've had it confirmed that she's been cheating on you, and now she's looking to get back together. Yeah, no, run for the hills. Fuck, another mental bitch, lad. Somebody who wants to stay in a relationship, even though they're flat out cheating, is just using you as a fucking placeholder. They have something comfortable to come home to. They want to have their cake and eat it. They want to be able to go shopping, even though they can't afford to buy anything. That's essentially what it is. And especially if she keeps breaking up with you, no, fuck that. Get shot of her. Just say, no, fucking not happening, not getting back together. Find somebody who will fucking appreciate you and is not going to be breaking up with you every day of the week, you know? Because, again, unfucking needed immaturity in a relationship is what that is. And I will give you a warning. If you are going to just get shot of her and just say, nah, fuck this now, I'm done, I'm not going back with you. The second you tell her you don't want her, she's going to pursue you even harder. Ladies like this can't stand rejection, because they're not expecting it. Especially because you've taken her back so many times. The second you stop taking her back, she's going to fall to her fucking knees and beg you to come back. And what you need to do is say no. Not fucking happening. You fucked me over. And that's it. And just cut her loose and then find somebody else that'll appreciate you for what you were. It just makes me think of another bit of advice I got many years ago that served me well with women. And they said, like, if you're having an argument with a woman or you're broken up with a woman or anything like that, and you want to hurt them, you know, because sometimes you do, you get a bit angry in a relationship, especially if you've been fucked over or anything like that. You want to hurt them. The best way, the very best way you can deal an emotional blow to a woman as retaliation is to ignore them. They go fucking mental when you just stop talking to them altogether. I don't know if it's like this fear of abandonment, or maybe it's just something they're not used to, but no, if you can just say, you know what, no, and just cut them off completely, that's the worst thing you could ever do. It's what I've done with all my exes as well that have fucked me over in the past, and you know it really gets them, because it's just, because when I broke up with my ex, like I do with so many of my exes, when there was infidelity involved, cheating, I was just like, nah, done, fuck you, goodbye. I'd get messages for weeks, months off them, and I just refuse. I blanked them out, you know, unfriend them on Facebook, never visit their page again, just pure mentally move on. And every time I get a message, it's just a reminder that my ignoring tactic is hurting them, and that made me feel better, you know, for the meantime, until eventually I got over the hurt and moved on with my life and, you know, got into a healthier place. But for the meantime, if you're going to retaliate, that's the best way to do it in the healthiest manner. It's about the closest thing a man will understand to a mind game. So, you know, take that piece of information, put that into your pocket, and just keep it there in case you ever need it. Right, lads, you know what time it is. It's time for Quack Me Up Corner.
Quack, 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 quack me up. Quack, 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 quack me up. Get your ducks in order. It's time for Quack Me Up Corner.
A family walks into a hotel and the father goes to the front desk and says, I hope the porn is disabled. And the guy at the desk replies, it's just regular porn, you sick fuck. And what's the difference between anal sex and oral sex? Oral sex makes your day. Anal makes your whole week. So there you go, lads. I hope you enjoyed those little jokes and the podcast, because I'm going to wrap it up here. I've run out of shit to talk about and I've some writing to do, so I'm going to go crack on with that. So thanks everybody for listening, tuning in. I hope you got something out of this podcast. Maybe an old cheeky little laugh. I hope it kept you company while you're having a wank or building a fence or chasing geese through a cornfield. Whatever you be doing in your free time, lads, I don't know. And I will catch you, lads and ladies, in the next one.